What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation, the best baseball community on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start out with Nesto Cortes, who had 2 Ks in 5 innings. He painted with this 92-mile-an-hour fastball and also had this 93-mile-an-hour fastball K. Nestor also did his trademark messing with timing. Although this pitch is a ball, it's still a lot of fun. It may not have been an effective pitch, but it was effective at getting the fans into the game and maybe put something in the back of hitters' minds. You might remember the other day I said I had no problem with Josh Naylor trash talking a little bit with his rock the baby home run trot. That is, as long as he could take it when it was dished back to him. Well, Yankees fans sure dished it back to him, as did Gleyber Torres on the last play of the game. And to Naylor's credit, he took it well. Darvish pitched brilliantly with 7 Ks in 7 innings, giving up only 3 hits and 2 runs. If the Padres won, this may have been known as the Darvish bloody knee game. You can see how he might bloody his knee, because look at his windup and how close his cleats come to his knee. It's a wonder he doesn't do this all the time. Darvish had this absolutely beautiful curveball, these filthy sliders, and here's a great home plate view of this incredible slider from Darvish that broke 16 inches horizontally. I love these views because it really drives home how tough hitting is. I also added a tail to this slider so you can see the movement, and also see how StatCast calculates break. You can see the initial trajectory of the slider and where it ends up. Here's another reason Darvish is so tough. Here's a cutter and splitter overlay, and you can see how those pitches start out looking the same and end up on opposite sides of the plate. Darvish also had an inning where he had 3 backwards Ks, all on 4-seam fastballs. According to Codified Baseball, this is the second time in the pitch tracking era that anybody has gotten 3 looking strikes in 1 inning on 4-seam fastballs. And here's an overlay of Darvish's slider for a ball and his fastball, so you can see why you would take a fastball for a strike. If your scouting report told you that Darvish liked to finish hitters with breaking balls, well, you might take that fastball too. Now, I can't talk about Darvish's outing without talking about the absolute nuke he gave up to Kyle Schwarber.
And it is a breaking ball.
That thing had an exit velocity of 120 miles an hour and it went 488 feet. Of course, you gotta love Bryce Harper's face on this.
I don't even want to answer that right now because I know how many memes are going to be out there of me with a bald head. So,
As a bonus, here's Darvish describing his cutter grip to me and how he changes velocity and movement of it.
You can change the speed in this thumb. When I put here, it's gonna be a 90, 91. When I put here, like 82 to 85, and then 87, 88. Then when you move this way, the ball moves more that way. When I top of a ball goes that way. So you can change the speed and like whatever I want.
My filthiest starter of the day was Zack Wheeler. Zack Wheeler was absolutely dominant with 8 strikeouts in 7 innings, giving up no runs on only 1 hit. He had these overpowering fastballs, this hard slider, and his vicious curveballs. To show why Wheeler's fastball and curveball are so great together, here's an amazing overlay of Wheeler's 98-mile-an-hour fastball and his curveball. And you can see how these absolutely look like the same pitch until that curveball dives to the dirt. Wheeler also had this great sequence on a 3-0 count with Soto, where he got 3 premature walk struts out of Soto. Hilarious. Wheeler's been totally dominant this postseason and models his game after Jacob deGrom. Here are their mechanics side by side, and you can see deGrom's influence clearly.
I was there forever with him. I watched all of his bullpens, watched him warm up before games because that's what our starting pitchers did. And I think it definitely helped. Not necessarily pitch-wise, because everybody, you got to pitch with what you got. But I think this, arm path-wise. I asked him about it earlier this year, actually, and he gave me a couple good tips and pointers, and I think it definitely helped me out. And it's so much easier, when you can hit the glove side fastball. And that's what he does when he starts warming up. He goes 10 glove side fastballs to start off with. So I started doing that, and that's when my command started getting a lot better, is when you command that side.
Now on to my filthiest relievers. Nick Martinez had this dirty curveball and changeup, although Schwarber doesn't really care because he hit a ball 488 feet earlier in the game. Luis Garcia proved that pitchers can indeed catch pop-ups. Emmanuel Clase had this wicked 91-mile-an-hour slider. Trevor Stephan was outstanding in relief with his slider, splitter, and fastballs. Jonathan Loizaga, a.k.a. Johnny Lasagna, had this flaming cheese. Pretty sick movement on those 100-mile-an-hour two-seamers. Seranrhony Dominguez had an overpowering 100-mile-an-hour fastball and this disgusting 93-mile-an-hour changeup. I overlaid Seranthony's 100-mile-an-hour fastball with that changeup, and you can see how impossible this is. Good freaking luck. And never take for granted that 93-mile-an-hour changeups are a thing. And my filthiest pitches from a reliever yesterday were from Jose Alvarado. It is 101-mile-an-hour two-seamer, a 95-mile-an-hour cutter, and a 93-mile-an-hour cutter. Alvarado is El Diablo. And you can see in this overlay of that 101-mile-an-hour two-seamer with that 93-mile-an-hour cutter how unfair his stuff is. And now, my pitching ninja moment of zen. I thought this was a great tweet from Codify Baseball about the shape of Yu Darvish's pitch arsenal. Of course, now you're not going to be able to get this song out of your head. What is up, Ninja Nation? My picks of the day today are a three-leg parlay. I'm going to start with a same-game parlay of Blake Snell for 7 Ks or more and Aaron Nola for 7 Ks or more, and top it off with Justin Verlander for 5 Ks or more. I'm trying to make it 2 wins in a row after that big Bet with Pitching Ninja parlay win yesterday. What would your picks of the day be?